Hey friends, Jessica here with Creators Tutor with a quick tutorial recap. So this tutorial was recorded live on Behance and I'll link the full tutorial below. But it was just a little fun, fast, and easy tutorial, and I wanted to create kind of a surface pattern design and especially to use some of my loose watercolor Photoshop brushes. But in this tutorial, one of the cool things that I did was use the Adobe Capture plugin to pull a color scheme, and then actually what I did in the tutorial was to create some new color palettes based on that color scheme. And these color palettes I will use for my multicolor brushes. And most of you guys are familiar with my multicolor brush technique, but if you're not, just check the foundation tutorial down below. But I created a whole new little set of color palettes, and if you're a Behance subscriber, you can download the source file, the color palettes, and even use them in an items for sale. One of the other things that I wanted to bring out with this tutorial is that there's so much free um, like stuff on Adobe, Adobe stock. And you can get a lot of in this case, I got this kind of line art that I used as the foreground. And sometimes you don't need to like do everything from scratch. I'm used to kind of doing a lot of things from scratch, but sometimes I can use that as part of my design and it's a nice jumping off point. So in this case, what I did was I searched coral illustrations, and I didn't even download the AI files. I just downloaded the ping and then just copied them, and that way I got some cool coral motifs and I didn't have to just like reinvent the wheel or do it all myself. So that's a fun jumping off point sometimes, to take advantage of that. And if you have a Creative Cloud subscription, you can take advantage of those free assets and everything. Or even if you just have a Creative Cloud account, I think. So definitely take advantage. The free library is quite big there. So yeah, so I just dropped some of those in there, and I knew I wanted like this cream background, and I wanted kind of just to play with the negative space. And so what I did was I just used, I think I used some like my watercolor tie-dye, my loose watercolor, and just kind of layered some soft stuff in the background and just had fun with that. And the only other brush that I also used was this. I used some of my pattern painter brushes just in a single color to add some of those dots, which I thought kind of worked well. And then if you zoom in, I also used some glitch core brushes here so you can see that kind of glitchy line sort of thing. So sometimes if you don't have an idea, like I think this day I was a bit short of ideas. So I was like, okay, let's just play with some negative areas. Like put something in the foreground like I did here with the coral, and then just put some brush strokes in the background, and that's it. It's done. So, and sometimes it's just fun just to play around and see what different brush strokes look good and layer them up, and you get a cool design. So that's what I did on this one. It was nothing too deep, nothing too strenuous, but I do have some good tips in there with, I showed you about making the color palettes and also taking advantage of that Adobe stock because it's there. And you can also always filter out. I never use anything that's like AI on there, so yeah, it will tell you if it is or not. So if you have any questions, just let me know. Otherwise, I'll see you on my next tutorial recap.